you can go back and erase real quick and make sure you got it. Absolutely. And you can tell the person to stand by. You can say, wait one, stand by one, something. You can pass it around. Just go ahead and pass it around a little, they can all look at it. Send it, we'll send it. So we're sending around the actual example, so if you want to take a look, see and see what the example looks like.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I love the way you
I'm
do
not
that.
there tonight. I don't know where it is going. Okay.
I do the same thing when I'm taking a message. A lot of times I can't keep up, and I'll do shorthand.
I like taking notes in class.
Exactly. But generally, every radiogram that I take or send, I type into a fillable. So if I take a message from our net, as soon as I get home that night, it gets typed up. And if I'm physically delivering that, obviously I'm delivering the typed version of it. But that's another thing, is keep a record of all your radiograms.
And that's what we're going to talk about right here. So let's talk about tracking messages. This actually is another message that did come up. One question actually came up. So what is an SAR? It's a station activity report, okay? And this is where this received and sent starts to become real important too. So it's kind of a good segue into it. Station activity report is a radiogram that you send to the net manager, in this case Dave, who will send it to the section net manager, W2PH over on the East Coast. Traffic, and he's the traffic manager, I'm sorry, not section, traffic manager. So anyway, what you're doing is you're tracking. So how do you keep track of all this stuff? Do you just pile them up in a pile? You could do that. The other thing is I gave you a sheet that's called my net log. It's a log sheet that I made myself, that I just check mark and write numbers in and whatnot, so that I can keep track of what I'm doing. So at the end of the month, all I got to do is add up the columns at the bottom, and I can make my station activity report. So you're probably saying to yourself, what's a station activity report? You look in your pile there is different types of reports already printed out for you. And so station activity report's one, we call them SAR. So what you're tracking in this case is all the messages that you originated, which we talked about originating when we did our very first message, when you made a message for somebody else. You're also tracking all the messages that you sent. Those are the ones you sent via RF. Think of RF all the time when you're thinking of most of these, other than originated, right? Because originated for your neighbor walking up, hey man, can you send this to my friend? Then you got how many you received as well. And that's messages that you receive from other operators via RF. And then the final is the delivery method. And of course, the delivery method is not going to normally be RF. As a matter of fact, it's never going to be RF. It's going to be either on email or phone or mail, something like that. So by keeping track of it. So if you think about it, every one of these activities that you're doing counts as 1 point. Think of it as 1 point. So if I pick up a piece of traffic from the HF net, I get a receipt, because I received it from somebody else. And I come to our net and I send it to Dave. That means I got a cent. So I've got a received and a sent off that one message. Dave would have a received because he received it from me. All right? Same thing would happen if I received a message off of a net, wherever it's at, and I deliver it. So I get a received. When I deliver it, I call Tom and say, by the way, Tom, got a message for you, and I tell him his message. Now I get it delivered. Okay? When I do the phone call to him, he gets nothing. He gets nothing. Okay? So when we come to our nets and we are passing these messages, that's why we look for that amateur call. Are you on there? Because we want to get not only credit for ourselves, we'll get that automatically, but we want to get credit for you coming inbound too. Because if you get enough points, or if you have enough points by your appointments and things like that, you can do what's called a public service honor roll. And it's in there as well. And it gets actually published in QST. So those of you that put a lot of time in it, gives you at least a little bit of a feather in your cap for the time that you spend doing this type of activity. And also it counts for emergency operations. And there's 6 categories, digitals and some other stuff. And so anyway. So that's why I use this form, because it's easier than trying to find that pile. Where is it laying around in my ham shack, and can I get it all put back together? By the way, how many nets did I check in on for PSHR? You want to know that. So that's what's going on. What's next here? We already did that. That's what we just did. Oh, there they are. I just didn't go far enough. Sorry about that. I just didn't go far enough in my thing. I'm like, man, I got it printed here from me. Anyway, these were the ones that were open. I'll leave these up. We're going to take a quick break here because the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to NCS. So I'll leave these both up here. You can come up if you need to. If you
How you doing, sir? Smile. That's you. You go. Smile. All right. I know you'll be getting one of these, you know. You'll be getting one of these. You have to.
KK4DQJ.
Oh, Kilo Mike 4, Kilo Mike Echo. That is.
Oh, yeah. I delivered messages way back. I called you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. That's right. That's right.
It's a while ago.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was when I was first getting started.
I'm gonna be talking to you, sending you a message. You gotta get on the air.
Oh, well, you see, I've had a problem with my radio,
Oh,
so
okay,
I
okay,
didn't want
okay.
to take any messages until they could hear me
I
and
see.
I could hear them.
Okay.
I took one yesterday. In fact, it was for Steve.
Right.
And then he came on the air and I delivered it to him on the air yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right. I heard you.
Yeah.
I heard you. Was pretty good. You gotta get active. It is so important that
yes.
you get the protocol correct, because we've had people who was like they were never trained in it from outside, and it's so confusing. So
Yeah.
this is good.
It is. It is
good.
Well, I was here the last time too.
Oh, there you, yeah,
Follow-up time.
that's right.
Corrected nets, that's why we call them that. We try to keep the net running smoothly as a net control station, and we try to control the traffic coming in and out. Basically, you're like a traffic cop, right? You're kind of directing the traffic in and out and making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. No matter what kind of net it is, whether it's one of our net, whether it's our net or another, that's your job as a net control station, is to keep everything under control and everything in check. You're going to record check-in, so this will be one of those times when you actually not only get to run radio, but you get to write a lot of stuff down, so you keep track of it. We fortunately have forms and stuff that we use for our net that help do that pretty well, and we'll talk about those more when we get to them. But you got to take track of all the operators you currently have, who has traffic, because traffic's the priority of a traffic net, is to get the traffic moving. We do announcements, and then there's something called QNCs, and those that don't know what QNCs are, those are like messages for everyone on the net. Maybe it's like something you want everyone to hear about, everyone to know about. And yeah, he does them. I do them too. I do them a lot of times, like for the school club roundup and stuff, to try to get people to get out there and talk to these new hands that are coming online. But right, QNCs are like messages for the net. So in order to be a QNC, though, a QNC is not this. Hey, I'll meet everyone at Callers after this class because Steve's treat. That's not a QNC. He's not going to hear it. See, I got to get here. So that's not a QNC, but a QNC is a message that has a number, a message number, and has a signature on it, just like a radio, it's a radiogram. So that's how a QNC works, okay? So copy the QNC down if you hear a QNC on the net, and then you roger that QNC at the end of it, or ask for fills or whatever, and you get credit for what? Receiving a message there. You guys are learning quick. All right, so just something to think about. I usually write the word QNC at the top, so later in the month I kind of wonder what the heck this thing was. It kind of alerts me pretty quick. But like I say, it's considered a message received, and everybody will usually roger it and stuff like that. So that's good. All right, let's talk about logging net activity. All right, so in our net, we use a logging sheet. I would advise you to use the recommended log sheet, which you currently have in your paperwork there. And then you can get more of those online at our fmarc.net/SWFTN website. So in the website, when you go into the FMARC, you'll go down and you find where it says nets and our SWFTNs there. We have all the forms that you have in this class, plus a lot more. And then we also have links to the NTS website with the ARRL and stuff. So that's a good place to go. So don't worry about using this sheet. You will use it here today, but you can get more. It's not a problem. You just print them out. And it's in PDF form, so it'll be no problem. So what are you logging on there? You're going to use the sheet. You're going to log all the activity. You're going to log the check-ins. When somebody logs into the net, you need to acknowledge them. This is very important to do. You need to acknowledge them and what they have. So So if I check into the net and I say, this is W4CMH, you know, first I'll say net control, that's how we do it on our net. We do net control, wait for the reset, nobody else is there. I go, this is W4CMH with traffic. I always do it that way because that gives the guy time to write it down. Some of the preamble says, you know, go ahead and list your traffic. Well, if I list all 9 of those real quick, I can guarantee you that most of you net control are never going to get it. Not going to happen because it's too fast, it's too much. But if you can do it, let's do it. So we're going to say I have traffic, go ahead with your traffic. I say what my traffic is. So you're going to acknowledge me, not only my call sign, you're going to also acknowledge that I have traffic going to wherever. The reason you're doing that, number 1, is I now know that you've acknowledged me, which is very important, and you know you've acknowledged me. Number 2 is everyone else gets to hear that I have traffic. And if I have traffic coming in for a local ham or somebody else, you get to think to yourself, well, shoot, I live down the street from, you know, I live in Cape Coral. That's a Cape Coral place. I'll go ahead and pick that up. Right? Gives you a chance to get your radiograms out that are buried under some other pile on your desk, and then you can get that done. So again, that's why we do that. Also, make sure that everyone hears everything that's going on. It's important to do that. So that when the net control asks, can anyone pick up traffic with WCMH, it's not the very first time they've heard it. They've already had time to kind of prepare themselves or run away. That's what they're doing. I'm thinking it's the second. I don't know what the deal is. All right, so all traffic includes all formal messages, which are radiograms, and that includes QNCs, which we just talked about. One of the things you want to consider about is any station that says short of time, or if they're mobile. Short of time, people need to get in and out because they probably got something going on. Maybe they're going to a doctor appointment or something like that, and they just don't have enough time to sit around for the comments section or even to pick up any traffic. I'm just running out the door, I'm just trying to check in, or I'm in my car and I'm writing my location, whatever. So you want to pay attention to those mobile stations and short of times. If they say short of time, then you can go to them and get a comment from them a little later. But if they say they're mobile, I generally try to pick up their comments early because they could be getting to their destination or outside the range of repeaters. So just something to think about. All right, managing traffic activity. One of the things you got to decide is how you're going to handle the traffic. First of all, you always are going to handle which type of traffic first. Emergency, right? Go by the priority station, right? So you're going to do emergency first, priority second, welfare third, and routine is last. So that's what you want to do. So if you all have routine, everyone's routine, then that's pretty simple, right? You just get to it. You get to it right away when you can, but you don't have to do it like split second. If it's emergency, you're not going to keep the net preamble going. You're going to have to stop and get that traffic started. You can't just wait until the very end for that. If there's a large amount of traffic, this is another issue. If there's a large amount of traffic, you've got to use other frequencies. Those of you that are on HF, we do it all the time. We move people to other frequencies. There's nothing wrong with doing the same thing on the local repeaters. Just move them to another repeater that they both can hit. Problem is, some of our stations are kind of located throughout the county, and some of our repeaters don't have quite as much range as, say, the 165 that we operate off of. So you've got to kind of ask them and make sure, can you hit that repeater? You know. So you want to make sure that they can. You can send them to those repeaters then. Try not to send everybody to the same repeater, because then you're creating the same problem that you just tried to solve, which was to clear your repeater back zone. So if there's only 1 or 2 messages, I'll usually keep them on frequency. First of all, we're training that to like everyone to have a chance to practice. This is something I'd recommend you if you're new, is to sit there and copy along like you were copying the radiogram, even though you're not that day, so that you can get practice and feel like you know what you're doing. Same thing, now that you know where the logs are, you can follow the net control station and follow along and try to act like you're the net control station. Do a little practice before you throw your hat into the ring, so to speak, although the trial by fire works nice. All right. Again, you want to consider where you want to move it to. The receiving station needs to call the sending station. Why? My net controls know, but why? Why, dear Leo?
Let them know they're available and ready to copy traffic.
Ready to copy traffic, right? If I'm still filtering around for my paper and you start calling it off, I'm not done, I'm not ready. So by the receiving station calling to the other station, hey, I'm ready to receive your traffic, like Leo says, that makes it for much smoother things. So if you move to another frequency, as a perfect example, let me give you this. So you guys move to a frequency, we send 2 of you off to the other frequency. Let's say myself gets sent off and Tom gets sent off, all right? If I have the message, Tom is the receiving station, he's going to get on the frequency, and what's the first thing he's going to do? Ask if the repeater or frequency is in use. Absolutely. Throw his call out there and ask if the repeater is in use. Because you don't want to go into the middle of QSO somebody So, or any frequencies for that matter, as we find out on HF a lot. So, that's the first thing he's going to do. Then he's going to call my call and say, I'm ready to receive. Make sure I'm there, then I'm ready to receive. And then he knows he's ready. Now I know I'm ready, I can start telling him the message, and he's ready to copy it, right? He's controlling the message transfer so that way he gets the message, because it's his responsibility now to get it from me accurately. All right. And then one of the things you got to remember is when you move away to another frequency, when you come back, you got to wait till they take a breath, and you got to get yourself in there and say that you've returned, so that the NCS knows that you have returned. And you as the NCS has got to know you got 2 people, or 4 people, or 8 people, whatever, on what frequencies. So you got to kind of keep track of that. And that can be a little difficult. I'll give you a really funny story. They tried to get me to take Friday night nets on the Tropical Fastnet. We have quite a few check-ins on Tropical Fastnet, and I've got too many other irons in the fire, as I told them. But the poor guy that finally said yes, who didn't have a lot of experience, unfortunately, his first night was 23 messages. So it was a rugged night, to say the least. Poor guy, I felt bad for him. He's a super nice guy, too. I was like, oh man, this is hurting. All right, so if, let's say, for instance, all the traffic's handled and all, or there's no traffic or whatever, then we're going to call for announcements. That's what we'll do on our after the traffic, we call for announcements and all that. Announcements we save until after we've moved all the traffic, right? We want to get all the traffic moved. Yes, Headley?
If you get off the frequency and take your message or receive your message from the sender, do you have to come back to the NCS? Have to?
Did the NCS send you to a station?
Yes.
The answer is yes, you do. Because he's got to know, or she's got to know, that you have now returned and you accomplished the mission that they sent you to do, which was to move the traffic.
Copy that.
Right? Because otherwise, let's say you go over there, let's say you can't copy each other. You guys come back, now he's got to reassess. And I'm saying he, but it could be he or she. The NCS has got to reassess and send you somewhere else, or send somebody else to relay for you.
Oh.
And one other comment, it's also a directed net, so you can't leave the net unless you're directed to do so, or the net is closed.
Copy that.
That's right. Unless you ask for permission to secure, it's assumed until then you're there, unless you're in and out, right? Which basically, when you say you're in and out, you're asking permission to secure. So that's exactly right. Because otherwise, I'll call for you, and I'll call for you, and I'll call for you. I'm like, where is this dude? He's there a minute ago. And let me be honest with you. Try to get your traffic in at the beginning of the net, because that's when the most people are going to be there. If you get in too late on the net, you could be running out, or the net control could have already released all the stations and could have handled your traffic. So that's going to be a problem. So try to be there when you're supposed to be there, because these nets are designed to actually, they're timed, so that you go from one net to another net to another net, and the timing is kind of critical. And there's a couple nets, like Tropical Fastnet, Florida Phone in the morning, there's like a net right after it on another thing, and those guys were trying to get out of there really fast for that, for some reason. There's like a close call. All right. And then, of course, we go in our net. We do comments. Comments are informal. So basically, once we handle all the traffic and all the messages, now we're kind of informal, right? We're just kind of having a, BS net, for lack of a better way to say it. Just to talk and be with each other, and talk about different things, tell what we're doing for the day. Of course, talk about the beautiful weather here in Southwest Florida. We always seem to do that. And so those are what we do in those comments portions. If you're the net control, though, you want to remember everybody gets a shot at making their comment. Right, because they're checked in, unless they said they do not want to make a comment, or they checked in and out, or whatever, or they secured. If they say they're in and out, or they don't call on them again to ask them if they want to make a comment. They said they're in and out, they're in and out. Let's make it go faster, not slower. Okay. A lot of guys sit out there in the weeds, let's be honest. All right. So now what we're going to do, we've kind of done the basics of being an NCS. Is there any questions before we head to the exercise? Any questions on anything that we've talked about so far? Let me go through these questions real quick too while we're at this. All right, so someone asks here. All right, someone asks a question. I'll do these questions. We're going to do our activity. ICS 213 versus radiogram. When is each appropriate? Will 213 replace radiogram? So the easy answer is no. The 213 does not replace the radiograms. That's number one. When is it appropriate? When the agency that you are serving is using it, whatever form that they are wanting you to use. If you are working for, say, a fire station, for example, they don't know what a radiogram is, but they do know what an ICS 213 is. As a matter of fact, you pull it up on your WinLink, those chiefs kind of eyes light up. because that's not what they use. And since we're serving them, we'll call them a served agency. That would be the answer to that. But both of them are applicable, and you should know how to do both, because you never know when you're going to be called upon, especially if we're emergency folks, because we have to do with the group we're working for. Okay, the SAR report ins and outs, it says. We did talk about the SAR. Did I not answer the questions on SAR? Whoever's question this is. Did I answer the question or no? There's an example of an SAR in your packets. My log sheet's in there that you can use, and if you have questions about the SAR, you're more than welcome to ask on the air. Ask Dave, you can call me, call him, or ask us on the air a question or whatever. We'll gladly help you figure it out, not a problem. Because we add all these numbers together, Dave does, adds them all together, and we hope he uses a calculator. And then he sends them over to W2PH, and what happens is it gets sent up to Newington, up the pipeline as we call it, and we get kind of stat track, for lack of a better term, and the better our stats are, the better we look, I guess. Which is really important if you think about it. Is it?
Shows interest in the system.
Right. It shows interest in the system, it shows who's participating, and also if we're using it. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions on the SAR? Did I answer the question?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Can I send a message to a country near one I can't send it to, and they mail or call someone? The answer is probably yes. The agreement is between the United States and a third party country we're talking about here. So I guess if you got it to one, maybe, say you got it to England and they could send it probably to Scotland because they probably have an agreement of some kind. I'm not sure how that would be welcomed because the problem would be is the person is in that country, so it would be confusing to the system. So I don't know, you could probably send one to the person that you think might transfer it for you and ask them if they would be willing to transfer a message. I mean, it's going to be kind of convoluted. So clearly we're not going to send it to North Korea. Like if we send to South Korea, they're probably not sending it to North Korea. All right? So that's kind of, but that's a great question. And these third-party things are really bizarre because sometimes you can send to a citizen in Canada. You can send it to any citizen in Canada, a radiogram. But like, where Headley's from, Trinidad, it has to be to an amateur radio operator, not a citizen. Well, a citizen and amateur radio operator. It can't be a non-ham. So that's another problem. It gets really fuzzy how that works. But it's published on the ARRL website and everything else. And we have that link, so we should be good. Any other questions before we do this exercise? Excellent. Okay. All right, so what exercise are we going to do? Well, we're going to get a little practice for on doing this whole thing. And in your paperwork there, you actually have a log, and you have you have a log, and you also have the preamble. So everyone should have those things. So let me give you kind of the rules here. Okay, those of you that have not been in tabletop exercises, that's what this is really like. I mean, we could have done it totally different. We could have put everybody on simplex and moved them all around the building, but RF in this building is not really highly liked. Right, Steve? so that's what we're not doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to pair up with 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 people at the very most. You just pair up with them, and what we're going to do is you're going to act as NCS, but not just are you, everyone's going to be the NCS. So what you have to imagine is that you guys are not sitting across from each other. You're at your home station, you're driving in your car or whatever. Now that doesn't mean you can't talk to each other because that's the whole point of this activity, but you want to remember when you're doing this. And what's going to happen is all of you will act as the NCS at some point. So all of you should be filling out the log at the same time so that when your turn comes, because every 2 minutes, the NCS is going to switch. So wherever he is at, this gentleman right here, if it's this gentleman's turn next, at the 2-minute mark, I'll have a timer up there, he'll take over. So he has to have everything on his log exactly the same. Okay, got this? So that's what's going to happen, and you're just going to keep going. The goal of this is so everyone kind of gets a little feel of what it's like. This is not going to be like, you're not graded or anything, but it'll give you an idea of what it's kind of like a little bit. Also, it gives the other people kind of an idea, oh wow, I said my call sign too fast, or whatever. You get to kind of get a feel for everything that's going on. So I'll keep track of the times, and Dave and I'll be floating around. Also, there's some other folks in here. We got some other good NCSs in here that can definitely help out as well. As part of the activity, not only do we do check-ins and stuff, but we have what's called activity cards, or action cards up here, and Dave will be passing those out. And what you can do is you can interpose those as one of the check-ins at any time that you want to. Okay, so you can interpose those. Maybe instead of just being a check-in, you're a check-in with traffic this time. So that way it kind of gives you those kind of things. So what you're going to have is you got copies of your net preamble, you got log sheets, and we got action cards. Dave will pass those out. We're going to monitor what's going on. So does anybody have any questions about how this is kind of going to? Yes, you're going to use that form there. Absolutely. You're going to use the log sheet, and you're going to use.
There's 2 log sheets, so that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to use the net log sheet. I'm sorry. Good point. Larry's bringing up a good point. Don't use my activity sheet for tracking your nets. Use the one that's the Southwest Florida traffic sheet log sheet. It says SWFTN log sheet at the top right. And that's the one you're going to use. Does everyone have one of those, first of all? Okay. Everyone should have one of those, and everyone should have a preamble that I printed out earlier. Okay. Dave, do you have anything you want to add?
Before I start passing cards out, let's get the group squared away. Steve and Tim, if you can go to Dave, Artis, and Tom, if you can go to that group, and that'll make 5 over there. We've got 4 of you right here, big group. I'm out.
You're going to sit out this time? Yeah. You're going to float then. You help us.
Okay. Well, that's 3. 3 will be okay, right?
Yeah, still 3's fine.
Okay.
Let's do this unless one of those guys want to come down.
Yeah, Drexel, you want to come down with these guys, and then we'll do 4 back here.
4 over here? Sure.
Yeah, there you go. 4 back there, and then you guys here. Yeah, that's fine. If you guys are fine, then. Okay, that's great, guys. I appreciate you, Doug. That's a good idea. Dividing everybody up. If you want to move his chairs so you can be closer to each
guess
other,
4 of
so you
us-
can hear each other, because sometimes that's a problem.
And then you 4? Yeah, you 4 there, and we'll do our 4 here. And this is going to get kind of noisy in here real quick, isn't it? Yep. Who wants to get smart and jump in the conference room seat?
Just like 40 meters right after sunset.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. All right, so we run the net script. That's easy. That's easily enough done. Directed net, is there a liaison station calling this morning? Call and list your traffic.
I'm going to wait till everything's passed out, and then we'll start at 15 minutes. We'll get 3 minutes on the first go, and then we'll go 2 minutes after that, or thereabouts. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll switch every 3 minutes. That'll work out fine. We got 5 at some tables. We'll just do every 3.
Correct order for those. Okay. All right.
So it looks like every group's got somebody has some NCS experience. Looks like that's good. No, you don't.
Okay, net control station.
Ruth's done NCS for
All right,
somewhere
I'll
else.
start off. Why not? What
Right,
the
you've
heck?
done like our,
Net
you've done
control
this one
station,
already.
this
You've done
is
our- you've
KC1
done our 12 minutes.
FLU,
Yeah. I didn't say you're perfect. This is
and
some
my name is
experience.
Leo. Okay, and
Has everybody got something?
traffic, I have.
All right, so
traffic.
we go every 3 minutes to, like I said. I think that'll probably
Okay,
work out better.
let's
Smaller
take
groups.
stations,
All right, so time
do we have
starts
a liaison or FPTN rep? Okay, no liaison, no FPTN rep. Let's see here. Let's see, do we have stations with traffic? Any stations with traffic, check in now, please. Let's see, no Florida phone track, any emergency or priority traffic? Anybody have a card for emergency or priority traffic?
You're on the second page.
I think you have to see all these words in.
Do they want me to actually run through?
CQ,
read all-
yeah, CQ,
You want me to run through this?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we can all
Stop.
read this, so I was just jumping towards the end of the page. I mean, okay,
I was trying to
because,
follow the beat.
okay, this is a directed net, all right. So
Yeah, go ahead.
CQ, calling the Southwest Florida Traffic Net, calling the Southwest Florida Traffic Net. CQ. Let the repeater pick up, drop, okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Southwest Florida Traffic Net. For today's date is February 23rd, 2019. My name is Leo, my call sign is KC1 FLU, and I will be your net control station for today. Southwest Florida Traffic Net is the local affiliate and is sponsored by the American Radio Relay League's National Traffic Systems and locally by the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club. This net maintains liaison officers with other registered NTS nets. This net meets daily except Sunday at 10:00 hours local time on the 147165 repeater for the purpose of handling traffic into and out of our area and for training and emergency preparedness. In the event of a repeater failure, please switch to the 146.820 repeater, channel 3 on the Lee County Areas Alert recommended frequency list. Break for the repeater. Give it a drop. Okay, this is a directed net, so please follow the instructions of net control. Is there a liaison station this morning? Call sign and list your traffic, please. Come now.
Yeah, this is Kilo Mike 4 Kilo Mike Echo. I'll be your liaison station this morning. Good morning, Leo.
Good morning, Headley. KM4KME acknowledges as the liaison station. Let me see who is the liaison. They don't have a checkbox on this log sheet for a liaison. So are you a liaison station for Florida Phone, or okay, you're going to be our liaison station?
When I check in, you have to put me on the side here, because when I call sign, come in, you put me as a liaison, you know.
Oh, okay.
With no traffic. I have no traffic.
Traffic, no traffic.
Yeah.
Okay, and liaison over here. All right, that'll work. I guess just a note for the.
You have to know this thing.
It is funny that there's not a checkbox.
There's not a checkbox for like FPTN and liaison station to signify, or maybe some other portion of the form that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess we'll. Okay, we acknowledge Headley.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. You switched.
You're up.
You're up.
Suddenly you're the net control.
suddenly you're the net controller.
Yeah. After liaison.
Is there any emergency or priority traffic?
You at liaison, right? What's the next line?
I'm sorry?
The next line is there Florida phone traffic. You're on top now. After the liaison is the Florida phone traffic. You're on top.
Oh, well, I thought it was down here. Okay, is there any phone traffic net representative this morning? Call sign and list your traffic.
This is KC1 FLU. Florida Phone Traffic Net has inbound traffic for the net. One of those.
Then you repeat. Leo is the FPA there for phone traffic net. This morning he has one traffic for the net. You have to repeat what Leo said. You're acknowledging him like.
It's just an acknowledgement.
All right, we have Leo in as the Florida phone traffic net with one piece of traffic. That's what you really have to say. You have to say that because he called you. You have to say it.
Yeah, I called and checked in as the Florida Phone Traffic
Okay,
Net with inbound traffic.
You just repeat.
Okay,
So you would say net control acknowledges KC1 FLU Leo, acknowledge your Florida Phone Traffic Net with one piece of inbound traffic.
okay. This net control station, acknowledge KC1 FAU Leo, inbound traffic from the liaison.
Okay, that's Fox Lima uniform.
Oh, Fox, yeah. Then what happens?
Continue. It's there.
Continue reading the script on page 2. So
there.
you're now at, is there any emergency or priority
Oh, okay.
traffic?
Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Nothing.
And you say nothing heard.
Nothing heard?
Nothing heard. Where are we at now?
If
Any stations with...
If
No,
you have.
you have to read that next section.
Oh, if you have any emergency at any time during the net, please do a double break or say emergency. And the repeater will be relinquished to you, and we will render any assistance that we can. Show traffic, keep going.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Any stations with Q, Quebec, November, Charlie, this
All
morning?
right, let's go ahead and switch in CSs again.
So now you get to pick up stations with announcements. Okay, well, let's get your guys' call signs so we get our log sheets filled out. Net control station, Justice.
KA8,
KA8,
OKF,
OKF.
Terry.
Terry?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll acknowledge you.
All right, picking up 4 net control, this is Whiskey Foxtrot 4 Lima Sierra. Larry. Are there any stations with announcements this morning? Hearing none. Moving on, are there any stations holding formal written traffic? Please give your call sign and list your traffic.
Net control, this is Kilo Mike 4 Kilo Mike Echo with one piece of formal traffic. This is local.
Net control.
Net control.
Net control. This is Kilo Charlie 1, Fox Lima uniform. I have one piece of inbound traffic.
Excuse me, could you repeat the call, please?
Kilo Charlie 1, Foxtrot Lima uniform. KC1, FLU. This is Leo.
I never did learn English. All right, net control acknowledges traffic from KM4KME Headley and from KI4 FAU. FLU.
Kilo Charlie 1, Fox Lima uniform. KC1, FLU. Leo Southwest Cape.
With inbound traffic.
I got that part down memorized. People ask me what my name is. I'm like, KC1. No, it's Leo. It's Leo. I'm not on the damn radio.
Okay.
Head.
Now, at this point,
Okay, so now we would say holding written traffic log stations, and where are we? Okay, so we're at the point of you called for traffic. I said I have traffic. Now we would. I would say that I would deliver the message. You know, so I got message number 1, precedence RC. You know, find a receiving station. I would call Headley directly. KM4KME. This is KC1 FLU. Can you handle my traffic? Acknowledge, ready to copy.
right, but net
you
control
have to
has to be
direct that.
involved in there.
No, you have to direct
I have
that.
to direct that.
You would direct.
Right, so, then, in order to handle this traffic, net control requests that KM4KME contact KC4FLU.
If I'll take it up, I have to say I'll take the traffic up. I'm online, I'll take it up, so I have to call him.
So I have to,
So you would ask for any stations willing to accept my traffic. He would say, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And then you tell him to call me.
Don't get to the switch to your net control again. Switch to the next person.
Aha, now you're net control.
Well, you know, this is not nice. You should finish it already. I ain't. Seeing that the formal written traffic is done, I'll now take check-ins to the Southwest Florida traffic net. When checking in, please key your mic, say net control. Release the mic and listen for any other station. If nothing is heard, key the mic and give your call signs and name if you are with or without traffic. Also, let me know if you are handheld, mobile, short time, or in and out. I'll now take check-ins to the Southwest Florida traffic net. Call sign now, please. And then,
net control.
go ahead, calling in.
It's Whiskey Foxtrot 4, Lima Sierra, no traffic.
And you're in and out, okay.
Net control, this is Kilo A80KF, Terry, checking in and out.
Okay, so you're going to be in and out. Net control, this is Kilo Charlie 1, Fox Lima uniform. Negative traffic, 1 announcement.
Okay, let me stop right there and acknowledge. I'm from bottom up. KC1FLU, Leo, with 1 announcement, checking in. Morning, Leo. K8OKF, Terry, checking in with, was he in and out? He's sticking around. WF,
Terry checked in and out.
did he
Negative
check in and
traffic.
out? In and out, he checked in and out?
I checked in just with negative
Well,
traffic.
he did, well, negative traffic,
in
but
and
he's, yeah.
Terry was in and out. Negative traffic.
Yeah. K80KF, Terry checked in with no traffic. He's sticking around too. All right. Is there any other station willing to check into the Southwest Florida traffic net? This is Kilo Mike 4 Kilo Mike Echo. Okay, nothing heard. All right, now, then nothing heard, we go back now to check announcement. Now, Leo had a KC1FLU had an announcement, Leo, go over the announcement.
Okay, net control, KC1, FLU, Leo, and all to Southwest Florida Traffic Net. My announcement is, don't forget about our Florida State Parks on the Air event, April 6th and 7th of this year coming up. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. We'll be operating from Lovers Key and from Coronation Park. Oh yeah, I remember all that, dude. That stuff was great in my brain. I've been doing nothing but looking at that stuff for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Working on that one pretty hard, let me tell you.
Now, it's a change, it's a switch. If you switch in again, you have to now take it and check it.
Wishful thinking. You're
Well,
still
no, I guess
on.
we come around here to
Yeah,
me.
back to you, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So we did the net announcements, so we acknowledge from the bottom up, right? Comments, top down priority. Okay, so now we, let's see, where are we on this?
Now you're taking
Go to
more check-in now.
announcements. Okay, additional check-ins and knowledge from the bottom up. So we have Whiskey Foxtrot 4 Lima Sierra Terry. We have Kilo Alpha 8 Oscar Kilo Foxtrot Terry. He was in and out KM4KME Headley, our liaison station, negative traffic, and KC1 FLU Leo, your net control station, and Florida phone traffic net. Negative traffic. Let's see, I'll now turn the net back to W2PAX for closing comments while I prepare my net report. Okay, so we fill out number of stations checked in. We have 4 stations because you include yourself in that check-in. Number of messages handled. Well, one of these cards said I had message, so we have to put 1 inbound.
Yeah.
This one said another inbound, so that's 2 inbound messages. 1 local, 1 coming from out of area, so that's 2. And the total time at a net here was
10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes.
Is your report going to W2PAX?
Yeah,
also
my
a
report-
radiogram?
Yeah, my report will now go
In a radiogram
to
format.
PAX, and that goes over
So that's a third message.
to net report.
Well, yeah,
And it counts, you're 100% right.
That is a third message. Okay,
Yeah.
so the number of messages handled would be 3. Okay.
Right.
So I call the net control manager.
And if you don't remember your initial codes, they're at the bottom of the form, the QNI, the QTC, and the QNDs at the bottom of your log sheet. You kind
That's-
of remember.
That's helpful. One thing that we sort of looked on here was that when we have a FPTN or a liaison station, we all know pretty much who they are. We would like to maybe see a separate block up here to put their call sign name for FPTN and
So
for
what I do,
liaison.
just to let you know what I
Yeah.
do, is I'll write their call, and then I'll write liaison above their name, or FPTN above their name.
Okay.
And then out here, when I have taken by, if I have traffic, I'll say, let's say this person has traffic for W4C, for me, let's say I'll put traffic, I'll put 1, W4CMH, and then let's say KM4KME picks it up, I'll put it out there. The reason I'll do that is when they
Okay.
return, I remember who the heck's where.
No,
then
that's a good idea,
So that's how I do it. And everyone does it a little different.
That's your timer.
Hold on. You guys can keep working, hang on, I'll turn this off.
The cake is done. Take the muffins out of the oven.
I was hoping it was coffee.
now that's important, dear Leo, because I usually do it separate now. And I usually have my report all down here,
Yep.
the time, the name, people.
You want to get some practice.
I put a line across, like Steve has it. See how these up here, these lines up at the
Yeah,
top of the
yeah, I
legend?
was trying to go.
So if you put a line across, like what's here, when the guy checks, you acknowledge. So what happens? He's checked in. When you acknowledge him, if you draw a line like that, now you know that you've checked him in. But he wants a comment. Now, if he says in and out, I'll put an X through that, and then I won't ask him again, because then when I ask him for his comment, I come back and make it an X. That way I know I got a comment.
Exactly.
That's the reason that legend's up there. And actually, Steve Smith made this. This works really nice. I like it. So
No,
what
no,
I-
that was fine, because I got to acknowledge of a station.
So
Terry,
what happens is
Terry
these check
checked
marks,
in, but
the check
check was in and
the
out.
check marks are really elusive. This is what you kind of want to do to keep track.
That's what I was doing, so when
Yeah.
Terry checked in,
Yeah.
he acknowledged his check-in, he
Yeah.
said he was in and out, so I put the X in the
And
inner
I would
box.
put the X here too. And you
Oh,
know
yeah.
why? Because then that way I won't ask for comment from him.
Right.
Because when I come back down for comments, I come back down this column, and anyone who's not an X, then I ask them. I'll say, hey, Larry, do you have a comment today? And then lawyer
Okay.
I put an X through, and then we moved to the next.
Just a little bit of learning curve on how to
And then
use
what I do
use
over
the
here is
form
I
and make
write
it
the,
work for
and
your
I,
event,
and I write the numbers small. The traffic boxes could usually be bigger because sometimes you'll have 3 pieces of traffic that person's
Yeah.
bringing in.
And
What piece of traffic's going to be in there for you every day?
my net report.
Yep. And then who picks it up? That'd be 2 people. When he picks it up, then you put it over there because that way you know
Okay.
that the person's got it and you got rid of it. Otherwise, you'll be confused as to whether did you move the traffic or not. Now, if you only have one message, it's not a big deal. But if you had 10, it might get to be a little confusing. And the other thing too, if you get a local person, like a person's moving local traffic, you want to